Okay, what's up everybody, Justin here to make this week's review, Garo Makai no Hana. So, taking place, let's say, give or take less than 30 years after the events of Makai Senki, Soukoku no Maryu, and Togen no Fue, but a lot of years before JMo Tokusatsu, is the story of Koga and Kaoru's son, Saejima Raiga, the man who currently wears the golden armor and carries his family legacy. One day, a mysterious cloaked figure destroys a sealed wall that was containing 9 horrors along with a powerful horseman named Hades. However, Hades cannot be defeated by any regular means and must be resealed, within the wall of course. Assisting Raiga is Mayuri, a Mado tool that takes the form of a human woman. If in the event they find a horror that it is from the stone wall, it is Mayuri's duty to seal that horror inside of her to fix this problem. Also assigned to help Raiga in his mission is a Shadow Makai Knight named Crow, and he is quiet and reserved but yet very strong. And other returning characters are of course Zaruba and the Saejima butler himself, Gonza. Well, I must say this is a good way to introduce Garo to longtime viewers, and for the most part, it's a good exposure, exposure to previous installments is not really all that necessary to enjoy this series, though it does help. But the series does a good job of retelling the elements of what defines the franchise. Raiga is a great representation of both his father and mother. He exhibits his father's strength and honor, and his mother's kindness and smile. I am pretty convinced the actor could be the real son of the respective actor and actress who played his parents if they ever had a son that whoever came of age. Like Koga, by the time they introduce his Raiga's character, he is pretty well developed, but his character is excellently fleshed out, and like in seasons 1 and 2, you do get flashback episodes of Raiga's childhood and learn how he became the man that he is. And it ends in a way where his character comes somewhat full circle in the context to the story of the season. A good portion of the character development is put on Mayuri, who is understanding what it's like to be a human. But as the story progresses, you learn more about her, and I can't really get into some of those details because of, spoilers. But the plot twists about her were pretty cool to me. I felt throughout watching the series up until the ending, Crow's potential was very underused, but for the right reasons when they get to the climax. I thought that him and Raiga had this chemistry where they could be each other's foil. I was expecting it to be something along the lines of, let's say, Koga and Rei from the first series, but I can understand why the writers and director wanted to avoid just simply repeating on what worked the first time. I felt that aspect of the relationship could have been much more explored throughout the series as opposed to the climax. The relationship works in an unexpectedly natural way, but I thought there could have been more tension because they are very contrasting characters to explore in between their qualities. But it doesn't hinder the fact that Crow shows some distinguishing traits himself, and I think he is capable of having his own respective episodes like Rei did in Season 2, and his own short series like they did with Black Blood. If this franchise makes another installment with the current cast, I think Crow has a lot more potential. The design of his armor is pretty cool and reminds me of Griffith from Berserk with his really metallic look, but mixed with the organic colors of Femto. Gonza surprisingly gets a couple of episodes to himself, and you do get to learn more about him. And I found it surprising they flesh him out a lot in comparison to the other seasons he was in. It really exhibits how useful he is to the Saejima family, and how much he's valued by them and how much he values them. The rest of the cast that comes out are all interesting characters, and I hope they have their own opportunity to shine in future installments, as was explored in other seasons after the very first one. My favorite episode has to be the 8th one. It is pretty disturbing and twisted at the same time. And episode 5 will have an interesting villain if you've seen the Zero miniseries Black Blood. There is so much more that I wish to address, but they would be spoilers. So I will leave the story and characters at an 8.25 out of 10. The action this time has a lot more barehanded action scenes compared to the previous series. It has the same quality as that wuxia kung fu movie and is very exciting. The wire fu is pretty cool and the technique is very crisp and fast. The sword fighting is to the same standard as previous installment, but is more technical compared to JMo Tokusatsu, which was more wild and feels like a brawl. Raiga and Crow show that they are well trained and experienced. They stay cool under pressure just like Koga and Rei. The CG continues to progress, and and I love the pacing. Some of the fights can get gimmicky, but is appropriate to the context of the story and the horror of the episode. The fights are very creative and unique. It is very difficult to comprehend that a lot of Hollywood movies are not to the standard of this quality of martial arts fight scenes, which I still continue to give a score of a perfect 10 out of 10. Well, once again, Jam Project is back, and Kageyama Hironobu, the voice of Zaraba, and the composer of the DBZ theme songs and the singer, still does them. How can you get better than that? The first theme song in this is kind of more dark, that uses those kind of... You know how there was these stupid-ass nature songs that they had back in the 90s? Well, the first one is kind of like those songs, but very, very dark, which makes it cool for once. While the second theme song feels appropriately like a hero song. The generic soundtrack works as both as a tokusatsu and a horror series, as it does in the previous installments. Unfortunately, there is no rock track like Raiga did in JMo Tokusatsu, but nothing to complain or add other than a 10 out of 10 for the music. As stated before, I say as a series for fans new to the series, I say you are free to watch this without any previous exposure to the original seasons or movies, though it does really help. But it does a great job of re-establishing the elements of Garo, as well as introduce some new ones. I believe it's a great foundation of further expanding the series, but I feel there's a lot to do with the characters from JMo Tokusatsu, which I believe there will be the movie next July. The original cast has already been developed, and I don't mind if they ultimately bring back Koga. I say his character has done enough, and it's time for a new Garo, whether they continue with Raiga or Ryuga. This series demonstrates that there is still potential for the franchise, and by the time I made this review, the anime should be broadcasting. So if you love horror and action mixed together, this is what you need to watch, which I give an overall score of a 9.1 out of 10, and look forward to my next review, and I will go back to my roots of anime reviewing, which will be Kimagure Orange Road. And once again, thank you for watching, and look forward to my next review. And once again, if you want to know, I will be reviewing Garo, the current anime series Hono Kokuin, upon the ending of its broadcast. Okay, thanks a lot.